Nerdcore could rise up. It could get elevated. Nerdcore could rise up. It could get elevated.
So, happy
Nerdcore used to be just a made-up word. MCs shied away from.
Happy start of the oppressive heat here.
It's terrible. Terrible.
Horrible.
I'm too fluffy for this heat.
Yeah, me too.
Mm.
But you know what else is hot? Comic-Cons.
Huh.
We are in the main season for the big ones. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
I'm excited.
I'm very excited. You can tell B-Rob's excited too.
Look how happy he is.
He just woke up.
In my solo adventures, I may have overdone it. So, I mean, in 24 hours, 2 movies, 18 holes of golf, sitting through like 2 little league games, and then dinner and going out for drinks. So
that guy's
him's a busy boy.
not really. I was kind of shocked. I felt as good as I did when I got up this morning. So
I'm glad you're
it's
here.
just like somebody made me get up to go to an 8:50 showing of a movie that I didn't even know movies started that early. And
We won't talk about that, but I'm sure.
And he's eating nachos.
You know what? We're not talking about that, but I'm sure whoever it was, they're very handsome and very cool. Welcome to Every Man's Guide to Nerddom, where we are 2 30 to 40-something-year-olds who talk about pretty much whatever we want. I'm Chris.
And I'm Kyle. And if you guys would like to be a part of the community and see what else we have going on and our community members have going on, please join the Discord. The link is in the show notes down below. Discord is a free application. You can get it on your telephone, your cellular communication device, on your tablets, on your computers. We have a server set up with all kinds of channels for all kinds of things to discuss. So you guys hop in there, find something that you like, and be a part of it. It's fun. All kinds of cool conversations going on. Also, if you would like to hang out with Chris and myself in person, we stream on Twitch. MacGyver's Twitch handle over there, or Chris's Twitch handle. God, words are hard. How long have we been out? 2 weeks? Okay. So for Chris, it's Guyver Unit 01, GUYVERUNT 01. Myself is Casey, K_SIG. We stream on Friday and Saturday nights, doing community games on Friday nights, spooky games on Saturday for Spooky Saturday, and then off and on throughout the week. So check us out. I know Chris pops in occasionally through the week. I've been doing some survival games and such, which has been pretty fun. Getting back in that thing. And so check it out. It's good times.
It is good times. So first, let's talk about why this. So this episode is, like we said, about Comic-Con. It's B-Rob and I went to the Dallas Comic-Con on June 9th, I believe. Let's discuss real quick why this episode didn't get out last week like we were supposed to. What happened?
All kinds of things happens.
Mostly a gigantic storm with 113-mile-an-hour winds killed our power.
Mother Nature got us.
Like bad.
Chris didn't have power or internet. I just didn't have internet. Luckily, I still had power. Internet was kind of iffy this morning, actually, because I've been still dealing with it like all week.
The fallout.
Yeah. Well, okay. Part of it was from the storm. Part of it, apparently, somebody somewhere up line from me had spliced somehow into the line. My tech called me. He's like, "Yeah, we had a non-serviceable house with a connection upstream from you." He's like, "They spliced in somehow. They were using it. I don't know what happened." So that was causing problems with my line. Plus the storm.
So basically, they were getting free cable.
Yeah. And so that was screwing my internet up. So my internet tech guy knows me by name. Like, we see, like, he's been out here so many times because I complain all the time. Like, dude, stuff's not working. But I need a steady connection for our stuff like this. And, I notice when things aren't right.
Does he send you unwanted fiber pics?
I wish.
Me too. It's like,
come on,
look at that bundle.
Come on, Maurice, send me something. That's my text name, Maurice.
Well, if not, it is now.
Oh, it totally is. Yeah, he's been out here like 12 times. So.
Oh, shit. So, as we said, Kyle's going to interview Brandon and I. We're going to discuss all things related to the 2023 Dallas Comic-Con.
You guys are ready for some hard-hitting questions.
Hard-hitting questions.
The people want to know.
To clarify, it's Fan Expo Dallas because there are several Comic-Cons that go
Fan
on
Expo
there.
Dallas.
So when you hear our feedback about this one, let's be clear that this was Fan Expo Dallas, not HorrorCon or one of the other ones. So.
Okay, yes, thank you.
I feel like this is foreshadowing. Okay, so.
Well, you're not too far off. So we went to Dallas on June 9th. Actually, it was the 10th is when we went. It was the 9th through the 11th. I went with B-Rob and his wife and his kids, and we just went for the day. So that's literally the backstory. Kyle's got some questions. Let's go.
I got some questions. Here's what I want to do, because it's not totally fair, because I know the answers to some of them, because Chris has been telling me things. We had to talk about it, but I can just tell from B-Rob. Look, I'm going to lead off with something I found for you guys to think about before we get into all the questions from Twitter. Fan Expo Dallas has been nominated for Dallas News Annual Best in DFW People's Choice Awards in Arts and Culture category. Okay. What do you think about that? They're nominated for top. So.
Look at the shit-eating grin on B-Rob.
I would like to see the attendee ticket from the person that nominated that.
Yes.
So the first thing, okay, so you guys, the trip was planned for a while. I was in line to try to go. Things didn't line up to where I could go, and possibly for the better. We'll get to that. But so just plan the trip. So you guys, originally there was going to be like 1, 2, 3, 5 or 6 of us, and it was going to make a couple day thing out of it. Life happened to about half the group. You guys were the ones that were able to go. So Chris, you said you made a 1-day thing. You guys flew down there, flew back. How was the trip there? You guys crammed in a little airplane together.
So B-Rob and his family have the TSA. What's it called? Pre-check. Little Chris does not have the TSA pre-check.
Mm-hmm.
It took me, there was so many people. Normally in the Tulsa airport, you can pretty much breeze through it most of the time. And being the first flight on a Saturday morning, didn't think it was going to be that bad. It took me forever to get through line.
What time did you get there that morning?
5.
Because our flight left at 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got there at 5. Normally we're there 2 hours before, no matter what. But I'm like, you know what? I don't have any bags to check. I should just be able to walk right on through. It was a long line. It took me quite a while to get through the line. So there's that. Brandon and them went straight through, or was there like a minimal wait? I take it.
I mean, there were 4 people.
Okay.
Did you guys ahead
of us.
Were y'all seated together on the way down there, or was
So it's Southwest, so it's open seating. So basically, me and my son got on, and we took one row, and then my wife and daughter took the other side across, and then Chris sat next to my son. So
yeah.
Okay, so you got on there good.
Yeah, no, it that turned out pretty well.
So
that's the good thing about Southwest is if you get on early, you can save a couple seats. So.
For you guys listening that don't know, so they're coming out of Tulsa going to Dallas. That's that's a commuter flight, really. I mean, you're there. How long is that flight? It's like
40 minutes, 40 to 50.
Yeah. 40, 50
depends
minutes.
on how fast they're going, if they're making up time.
I've made it in 35 minutes before when they've got a good win. But yeah, it's under an hour.
Chris with the science. If they go faster, you get there quicker. Thanks. So it's.
Well, they've got a certain cruising speed that they want everything to go on.
Depends on how fast you're going, how quick you get there.
Well,
also the lighter you are, the faster you go. That's science.
It is
science.
Just had a good trip there, so there's a little commuter. So it's I'll go. I'm going to go a little bit out of order on my questions because it's going to make more sense to save some stuff for later. So you guys got there. How was the check-in process once you got to the con itself?
So mine was super easy to begin with because I had them send me my badge. It was an RFID badge. You had to activate it online. I activated it the day before. Cool. Brandon, how was your experience with that?
I mean, it really wasn't that bad. It was just very different from the other ones I've done. So, of course, like we get there, I think I can go pick up the badges without them because the kids wanted to put their costumes on because they didn't wear them down there. So they're doing that. So I go up there, can't get the badges to activate. Like, okay, so everybody's there. So I mean, it ended up being like a 20-minute longer process than it really needed to be, but because you got the badges and then you had to walk over and scan a QR code, put it and type in to activate, and so it was a little different than I'm used to, but I've had worse. But it was a little bit. But that just kind of set the tone that they made everything a little harder than it really needed to be, in my mind. But it's still something that a lot of people don't get to do. We got to go do it. But yeah, it wasn't as ideal and streamlined as I'm used to. But there wasn't a long walk. That's like the shortest line I stood in all day. So
Yeah.
So
Well,
where was it located? Okay, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead. You had something.
I'd like to mention too. I think if we had gotten there any later in the day, you would not have been able to activate those codes with your phone with as much, because so the later the day went on, we couldn't make phone calls, we could barely make texts. There was no internet from cellular. It was just, and as many people were there, they overloaded the cell phone tower. And I didn't see any place that said, here's the Wi-Fi password either. I'm not even convinced that place could have handled the amount of Wi-Fi traffic.
right.
So that's something
So go back real quick. So we flew in to Dallas, and then we got there. The convention didn't open till 9:30 for VIP, 10 o'clock a.m. for general admission. So we flew into Dallas Love. The convention was at Kay Bailey Convention Center, so it's a huge convention center in downtown. We were 8 miles?
8 miles.
That's what Dallas loves. Yes, it wasn't very far, so it was like a 20-minute. We got a Lyft XL, and anyway, that was great. Our driver struggled finding the place. Like turned in through to a McDonald's to try to cut through to get there at one point. But I mean, other than that whole part getting to the convention, but we did get there extremely early because we didn't know what the lines were going to be. So we were trying to plan it a little bit better. What time did we walk in there? Like 8? Because we got some food at Dallas Love, and it was like we couldn't really find anything good down there to eat. Looking at maps, but it was like 8 or 8:30. So we got there pretty early.
Yeah, it was about 8:30ish, give or take.
And then the line was already
going
pretty long.
Yeah.
Well,
and then our cab driver asked us where the place was. I'm like, I don't know.
What?
Yeah.
You guys were talking about the cell phone service. Like I've seen that before in like at music festivals I've went to where once it gets full, you don't have service, period. No. But that was also like in prior BFE Oklahoma where there's not really great service anyway. And I think that falls on the internet or the cell phone provider. Like, hey, there's a huge event getting ready to come up. Your tower is going to be overloaded. Got to kind of flow your traffic a little bit different. And I think, it's just for a couple of days. They don't care.
There's 2 5G towers right outside the convention center.
Yeah. I mean, it happens every year in downtown Tulsa too for like St. Patrick's Day. It happens at Oktoberfest every year, just like you said, when you get a big group of people together.
Well, yeah. Well, that's just like
also tough.
Yeah. Anytime you get that many people together, my example is up in Pryor where you're basically in a pasture with 35,000 people in the middle of nowhere, and it overloads really fast. So let's we'll go back to some more stuff on the location here in a little bit. Let's talk about some fun things. So the cool thing you get. So obviously a lot of cosplay. I saw a lot of cosplay.
Yep.
Chris, what some of the cool ones that you saw that you really liked?
There was what's his name? Ryuk from Death Note. Like he was a 10-foot tall Shikigami. got a death, and like his face was on top of his head the way that the guy did it. And so he did this, and then the face went down when he took pictures. There was like a 12-foot tall space marine that was awesome from Warhammer 40K.
Yep. We got to show props to that picture too.
Yes. The 501 was there. And so there was there was a really good Commander Cody, really good Captain Rex. There was a snow trooper who was in one of the lines I was in. And then what was that other one that we really liked? There was a really good, I've got a good picture of a guy who did an Ash from Evil Dead cosplay.
I remember you tell me about Ash. I think you showed me Ash.
Yeah, I did. I showed you
showed
that
me your
one.
Ash, yeah.
And then Boba Fett.
Oh yeah, Boba Fett was awesome. I saw the
Boba
picture
Fett,
of Boba Fett
it
with
was
the
like
beer
Boba,
helmet.
Yeah, with the beer helmet, and then on his he had like electronic, and it said Bubba on it. And the Jack Skellington Jedi, and his wife was dressed as Darth Oogie, and those were really good. So those were some of my favorites.
What you be, Rob? What did you see that you like?
There was a really, really good Doc Ock.
I forgot about that one.
He took a picture of my son. There was a really, really good Reva. I mean, she was a dead ringer.
Yeah, Chris showed me the picture of the Reva of Reva.
Yeah,
she looked
was
awesome.
Really good. She was really nice. There were some good kingpins. You know, you tend to see that a lot when whoever's attending as a celebrity, you'll see a lot of those iconic characters. So there was a lot of kingpins. That scarecrow that was walking around that was really tall. I mean, he was like 10 feet, 11 feet on stilts. I still don't know how he navigated that. And there was a lady who did a lot of Disney cosplay. Belle, Ariel. I think she was Elsa one of the days, but
yeah, she did Rapunzel too.
Oh, Rapunzel, maybe that's what it was. But I just saw her the day we were there. She was Belle, and it was like hand stitched dress, scenes from the movie all around her big ball gown. I mean, it was really, really amazing. That's probably the most intricate, the best homemade costume I saw.
Like really accurate and spot on.
Yeah, it was really, really beautiful.
So one thing that I know, like we've discussed before when we had the episode when we were talking with props about cosplay and stuff. And Chris and I talked a little bit of this outside of the show. You have your traditional and you have your accurate cosplay, and then you have your mashups, like you said, with the Jedi Jack Skellington, but Jack Skellington. Dang, I can't talk. But then you have other cosplay. What would you say the ratio of accurate / mashup type cosplay to what many people just consider the sexy cosplay there, to like the overkill of it? Was there a lot more of the accurate stuff, or was there a lot more of the other?
I would say there's a lot more of the accurate at this one.
Well, and some of the accurate were sexy costumes, like that Starfire.
Yeah.
Maybe like the unitards and stuff. So, because there were a couple that I was like, T wanted to go get a picture with them, and I'm like, your mom's gonna kill me if you get a picture with this one. So
make it quick before we
let's go on that real quick. I've got a real problem with some of this cosplay. It's great you want to cosplay. If my daughter went out in this cosplay, I would kill her. So like we were sitting down, and I'm sure this is going to be one of your questions too. We're sitting on the floor eating lunch, and T, B Rob's son, goes, "Hey Chris, look over here. Look at that." I forget what she was cosplaying as.
There's a Harley Quinn.
It's a Harley Quinn, yeah. And I looked, and she was wearing, it was a thong, barely covering any front lips. And I mean, it was about as little of a cosplay as you can get. And I'm like, oh, no. And B Rob's wife goes, what? I go, that is pure underage. That's like 13 right there. And I'm like, it's great you want, but no, like, I think there's a line that needs to be drawn for kids, personally.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I felt There were some that I kind of did a double take, like, oh my god. For as far as costumes, I think my bigger issue was the vendors. They had some vendors that had some pretty racy nude stuff
Yeah.
that weren't like sectioned off, like right in the middle. And sometimes they would put something over them, and you kind of have to look and do some work to see. But other ones, it was just out there.
Mhm.
I go
And I
into
think
the
there's
back room of the movie rental place. Like, hey, you gotta go through those doors.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
The
right.
saloon doors. Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like you kind of need to have a section for that, so parents know to kind of steer their kids. I mean, because I don't care, but I mean, I don't want my 6-year-old seeing it.
That's the biggest thing.
So, but
Yeah,
no, I thought the costumes. I still think that there weren't near as many people dressed up as what I have seen in the past. And maybe that was because most of them had been there Friday and realized how hot it was going to be. But I don't. But yeah, I was there were some really good costumes, but I didn't see as many as I had anticipated.
You kind of, that leads into one of the things we're going to talk about. So you talking about how hot it was. We'll go ahead and go into the location now, since we're there. But we'll lead off with the good. So what was? You said we talked about some of the good. The location was large, huge space, big convention center. What were some of the, like, when you got there, like, okay, this is something good about this location. This is something good about this building, this facility, whatever that stood out to you. And then we'll talk about the bad.
I mean, I thought it was easy to get in. I mean, getting off, like, because I mean, even here in Tulsa, we don't drive that many places when we're going. I mean, we lift an Uber a lot, especially when we're going to be drinking. So I thought the shared ride system, the drop off points, I thought that was well handled.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have a whole lot of lines to get in the main doors, to get out of the sun, get out of the outside heat. I felt like the facilities, as far as the bathrooms and stuff, I mean, they were. I mean, the place was clean. I never had to stand in a line to go to the bathroom. So I felt like, because the place is huge. I mean, I can't remember exactly how many exhibit halls they were, but I know that this one was like an F, and then A was, in where there were some other pieces of the convention, was in Fort Worth pretty much. I mean, the place is huge. You felt like you could walk forever. So, but it was. So I mean, that's kind of the big things I noticed that sometimes other places are lacking.
The bathrooms were a lot smaller than I thought they would be for a convention center this size. Like, you'd go in and then there was like literally 2 urinals in most of them. So I mean, it wasn't bad. Guys can go in and out real quick. The girls, I was watching lines form. Because just they're tiny bathrooms, and then you couldn't get to some of the bathrooms because how poorly laid out the organizers made these lines. You had to fight your way through crowds to get to these places. Like, so you had to plan 30 minutes ahead if you had to pee. If you were on one section of the convention center.
Yeah, so that falls into some of the bad. So let's talk about some of the, and crowd control can fall into that. I had a whole thing about crowd control, and like you hit on that. You said, I remember you telling me like there wasn't a flow to everything. Right. It was just like a mashup. So
right, and I feel like the convention center, obviously the space is the space, so it comes out to the organization and your layout. And I think that sometimes it's just not. Enough things aren't taken into consideration, whether you overbook vendors or, I think the big one for me was where, they have the soda stand where you have the refillable cup, like the Pecos Bill or whoever it was. They put that like right in a corner. Like you came into the place and you took a left, and it's like right here in a corner in a main walkway. So all the lines for this soda station are just backing everybody up. So you can't even make that turn to go to where like the food court was or the celebrities, because it's just blocked. So it was honestly like a fire hazard. I mean, I'm surprised the fire marshal
allowed it.
I think that's the other piece of it is, the fire marshal was there several times because they had to change some things, but I feel like getting approval on certain things, especially those really, really popular areas, would just go a long way overall. But But yeah, just the placement and location of some things was just made no sense to me.
Well, and then one of the things, big problems that I had with it, with the organizations, like the lines and stuff, was we would be, it was just poor planning, in my opinion. There was probably, and I'm being generous, 20 tables total for as many people as were there. And, you know, of course, they're big community tables. You get a seat where you can, but there was like 20 tables. They put the cosplay, what would you call that? Cosplay,
The red carpet.
the red carpet where they announce everyone. You get to show off your cosplay costumes right there by the tables. So that was backing up. Also, this is right in the middle of the food court, which is also right next to where you get your pictures with the celebrities. And there was none of those ropes that, you know, here's the lines you go in. They put tape down and no one paid attention to those in that line, and it was just backed up. People were everywhere. It just took you forever to get through any of that. So it was, I think that could have been handled a little bit better, personally.
Well, let's also say, you know, we went for one day.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of people had 3-day passes.
Yeah.
So we had already said if we did it again, we did this one in particular again, we would drive down, go for a couple days, stay at the hotel that's connected to the convention center, because there was Omni, I think.
Omni, yep.
Just so when you got tired, kid got tired, whatever, you could just go to the room and then you could come back. You could badge in and out, whatever. So we were really rushed. So, I mean, and should have known better with, you know, some of the headliners they had and how busy it was going to be. I just, from my experience and other ones with big names, I thought it would be a little bit better organized and that they would keep the flow going a little bit more. But, you know, it's really tough to get everything you want to get done in one day.
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, like I said, I think that they could have organized it a little bit better.
So I know with me and like hearing how you guys talk about the crowd control stuff. And Chris and I talked about this some too. Like when it gets tight like that, it's shoulder to shoulder, elbows to assholes, and you just can't flow around really well. I would not have done well. Like I probably would have went outside like that. Doesn't go, like I can't do that. And I used to be able to. I don't know what changed, but yeah, when it gets super crowded like that, and like I don't know where to flow out to the exit, or I know it's going to be like a struggle or whatever. Like, I get extra anxious. I get extra edgy, and like no. And so that I probably would have had a bad time just from that. That would have been, yeah. But you talk about,
I think my biggest deal there is like manners. I said it very early that day, like in the Fan Expo fans deal. I'm like, just have some manners. Just say, excuse me. We're all going to be running into each other. There's going to be some big costumes. Manners go a long way. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
And there are, I mean, and for the most part, they were. I think my daughter got knocked down like once. And that's kind of when I was like, all right, listen, dude. Because people are just in a hurry to get places. People, like you said, people's anxiety, you know, makes them sometimes act out of sorts. And, you know, but we're all in the same position. So it's just kind of like, man, we're here. We're all in the same boat. It ain't moving any faster. Or, hey, we're trying to get over here. Just excuse me. Or, hey, I'm sorry. You know, it's just, it goes a long way in curbing some of those tempers that flare up.
Yeah, because they will.
Well,
yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah.
B-Rob, talk about the stairs.
Oh, yeah. So Chris had already talked about how there were, you know, there's very little seating. So people in their infinite wisdom would just sit down on the stairs and like not on the side, but like right in the middle. Or there'd be like 5 of them just take up the whole row. So you couldn't even, you know, go down the stairs. And this was like almost every stairwell. I mean, you know, it's just a stair, like 5 or 6 stairs just going down from the different levels. So whether it was going to the celebrity booths, the photos, the food court, outside the main lobby, I mean, people were just inconsiderate. And I think that's the other piece that just drives me nuts sometimes. And again, I can't believe that the convention people let that happen, because there were a lot of people that had, walking around with canes or, disabilities.
Yep.
And, people are blocking the handrails or the stair rails. So
It's and B-Rob might have busted through at least one set when he had his daughter. After to be fair, he did say, "Excuse me."
I remember you talking about you bring up the safety rails and stuff. Weren't you like safety management or wasn't that your route in college? Was it something with safety?
Yeah, that was my degree. I mean, that's still what I do to an extent.
Yeah,
so,
that's what I thought. I was like, okay,
yeah.
that's triggering some stuff. And just hearing that, I could hear it in your tone, like
Right.
the handrails, man.
Right. I mean, it's just like when you see somebody in their late 50s, you're standing all day anyway, and you're walking, and they already have a limp, and they're struggling to go up 6 sets of stairs.
Yeah.
Or 6 steps in a stair, because they don't have anything to hold on to, because these jackass people are standing there and are blocking the rails. And so it's very, I don't know, disheartening almost, because you're just like, there was one lady I helped. Like, I held my hand out and helped her up a little bit, because she was really struggling. I thought she was, and again, we talked about the heat. It was hot as shit. I mean, so there
was not
multiple
working.
things that go into it. So, and again, all that stuff, it affects people's attitudes, decision making. When you put in anxiety, people being uncomfortable with temperature and walking around and standing, people just make poor decisions and don't think about others. So,
yeah,
I see that. I did read one response from the convention organizers about the heat was they blamed it on too many nerds and the cosplayers.
That's what causes it. That's like cow farts and global warming. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly. And I sat here and I go, what? Yes, I get the too many people, but the cosplayers caused this? No.
I was wearing that T-shirt that's right behind you, and I sweat through that thing at least twice. So
yeah, it was bad. And there was literally there was no, besides just the no places to sit to eat, there was no places to sit, period.
Right.
Well,
we were up against the wall most of the time.
I mean, that's got to be not good. I mean, you're talking about the heat, because you're in Dallas in June.
Yep.
When the heat waves are starting to come through, with people in full body costumes, mostly. The sexy cosplayers probably came out okay then, but
they were okay.
Like everybody else, like it. I wasn't there. I can just imagine the aroma.
Let's go on that for a minute.
I didn't want to, but we're going to. So,
I'm gonna let Brandon start on this, because I know
I was gonna dodge it, but we're here, so we might as well.
Well, first off, we're gonna make some money next year. So we're gonna be vendors, and we're gonna sell chassis and deodorant in a booth.
Yep.
You sell the booth, and you bring one of those pop up, the camping showers that pop up where you can go in and you take a shower with. You can go in and apply.
Right.
Like, go in here, dust off the gooch, get back out there, have fun, Kylo.
Right.
So I'm gonna
We'll spray you down for you for a little bit extra money.
Yeah. Chris will do it for free.
100%. Like, those restoration companies that have those ionizers that purify the air after fires?
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna put inside this booth, and then it's be like, hey, you, come here, smell it.
Fresh air.
Come here. Yeah.
You're gonna sell people air. You're gonna sell them fresh air.
Right.
100%.
You want 5 minutes in the refresher booth? $70.
Chris reminds me of the little bitty guy from the Lorax that sells all the air.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
My kids wore like those little jumpsuits, so they're super thin. Like my daughter was Spider-Gwen and my son was Nightwing. They maybe have had those costumes on for 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, it's too hot.
Yeah, so, they were dying. If little kids are complaining it's way too hot, it's bad.
Yeah.
But I was like, at noon, I was like, God, I feel so sorry for whoever sat next to me on the plane tonight, because I am going to reek. And there was
But-
some serious funk in that place.
Honestly, you smelled better than a lot of the people that were though too.
Well, good thing you sniffed him. You gave him the sniff check.
Well, it's so. Brandon, go ahead and talk about the smell first.
I mean, I understand that the majority of the people that attended this thing have probably never been in an athletic locker room. But that is, I mean, it was that
Oh, like 2-a-day locker room? Like,
yeah,
like-
you got in some of those confined areas, like where you were waiting for autographs or photos. And then, like, for the Hayden Christensen line, like, you would stand in line out in the big hall, and then you'd go into, like, a smaller room. And then you went into the inner sanctum where there was only, like, 10 people there. And that little tight one, man, it was funky. I don't know how he didn't complain about it.
that's a good lead in. So talking about like talents you saw. All right. So you guys got to first. Well, we'll preface it with this. You've got the ones that you guys wanted to see, and you have when you go and you meet these people, you meet these actors and these talents that you've watched forever and that you've listened to and that you're fans of, and you have these expectations in your head. I think I would of like, awesome. I get to meet, this person that I've been wanting to see forever. And so who was how you expected, and what about some of your unexpected results of those that you met?
Go ahead, B-Rob.
I mean, I think everybody met my expectation. I mean, I was so excited to meet Vincent D'Onofrio. I really wanted to meet Rosario Dawson, but I ended up having to cash in those tickets. We did not have time; those lines were so long. Danielle Panabaker, Killer Frost from The Flash, she was awesome.
She was super cool.
Hayden Christian was just great. It was just like, I mean, that one. There's some like him, and then I heard Joseph Quinn. It was just like this. Like, you get there and then you're just pushed through. Like, you didn't have a chance to talk to him. Like, Panabaker and then Vincent D'Onofrio were the two probably I had the most chance to actually talk to and like ask a couple questions. Their lines were long, but you just had the time while they were signing because they took their time to sign your item. So Shamik Moore, who does the voice for Miles Morales, my kids loved. My wife said he interacted with them.
And he was great. Yeah.
He was great. So, but yeah, everybody lived up to my expectation. I think I did irritate Vincent D'Onofrio.
He kingpinned him.
Yeah, he kingpinned me because he had asked me. I was getting a bobblehead signed. This one right here, kind of a glare, but and we were just talking, and then it was a great conversation. I asked him about his time on Full Metal Jacket.
Mhm.
I thanked him for bringing one of my favorite villains, iconic villain, to life. I thought he did an amazing job. Nobody will ever be able to follow him.
It was great.
And he's going to sign it. And he goes, "Who can I make it out to?" I was like, "Well, I appreciate, I'd rather you not put my name on there. Could you just sign your name and maybe put Keaton?" And he just kind of looked at me and the whole tone changed. And I think this goes back to a problem you see at these things when people get like 20 items signed. Or I think he thought I was a reseller, and that's why I didn't want it personalized. And that's definitely not the case. Just something I'm going to hand down to my kids. I don't want my name on it if T's going to have it eventually, or Neva or whatever. But his attitude did kind of change, and not negatively. You could just tell. And then I think some of the effort, because my paint pen messed up, so we went to use his, so the autograph's not as perfect as I would like to be. And I think if his attitude was, if I hadn't irritated him, like I said, I think I did. Maybe not. Maybe that's just my perception, but I think he would have cleaned it up a little bit and made it better, or took a wipe and wiped it off. But I really think he thought I was a reseller, or potentially that I was even fake from our conversation when I was entirely sincere. Because I do think, Chris knows this. When they first announced it, that's when I said, like, I'm going to Dallas because I'm meeting him. I'm getting this signed.
That was probably one of his
tops.
Yeah,
that was before they announced, Hayden Christensen, Rosario, anybody else that I really wanted to see. So, but everybody was really cool. Yeah, so I didn't have a negative experience because I'll take a little bit of that blame. I could have been a little bit clearer about why, even though maybe I shouldn't have to when you're paying that much for an autograph. But I wasn't the guy getting 20 fucking items signed.
Yeah.
and holding up a line for everybody. So, but everybody was really cool.
There was one guy who was in B-Rob's line he saw, and I saw, and then his wife saw too. He was a VIP. He was carrying around a wagon full of merch. And people were yelling at him because it was taking like 30 minutes to get all his stuff signed from certain people. And then so the other nerds were yelling at him, going, you know, come on, man, that isn't cool. You're holding up the line, you know, just because you're going to resell this. And he's yelling back and goes, I'm a collector. I'm not reselling any of these. As he's getting 10 of the same Funko signed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just, this guy who was next to me in line put it the best. He goes, you're not getting the autograph from the person. You're monetizing the product.
Mhm.
You're seeing them as not a person, but as an object for you to make money off of.
Well, and that's why you see, I think, these $200 autographs or charging for quotes and stuff like that because of this. Because there's a difference. I have a guy who's getting me Tom Felton's autograph for my son at Denver. He's only doing mine. I send him money and he's getting his. He's getting one sign from him, one sign from me, and I'm giving him like $10 for standing in line and doing that for me. That's very different, just when you have one or two items, than somebody who's doing 20.
Yep.
Who maybe doesn't have a friend they're just going to put it on eBay. So I feel like there is a difference there. But yeah, and there was one dude that had was it a helmet? I can't remember if it was a Daredevil. It may have been a Daredevil helmet. It was something like he made them unbox it. Like he was videoing it the entire time. He had Charlie Cox unbox it.
Yep.
Take it out of the plastic, and he's videoing it the entire time to sign it, and then write a quote, and then wrap it back and put it box, and then in the video. I mean, it was a big ordeal. That was the other piece. It made some of this stuff take forever.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that too. So I only got two because the autographs are really expensive. I was also telling B-Rob, I miss the old Comic-Con days of you paid one price, you'd go in, you get your comic signed, you'd get whatever sign, they'd take a picture with you. There was no charge for any of that. It didn't become this big money grabbing event. But now that nerd culture has become so mainstream, here we are. You know, I brought $300 to get autographs. And yeah, that's to get autographs. They were expensive. I stood in D. Bradley Baker's line for, what was that, 2 hours? Probably. He was super late coming to it. He was super nice when you talk to him. And he's smaller than I thought he'd be. He's like Klaus sized from American Dad. He's like teeny, but he was super nice. He signed my 5-pack of the Bad Batch Funkos. And he put the Bad Batch on there. We'll talk about the VIPs here coming up too. That whole thing, if that's one of your questions, Kyle. If not, it should be.
Okay.
And then I got Danielle's, and that's honestly all I had time for because we had such a limited day. And I spent the rest of my time, you know, looking at vendors, looking at other stuff, and hanging out with B-Rob's wife and kids, helping with the kids, because I could see the kids were starting to get, they're young. Their patience only goes so much, you know, no matter how good of a kid they are. When you're hot, you're tired, you're standing around, you're hungry, you're going to lose your patience. So, and they're really good kids too.
Yeah, my wife was a trooper because I was really worried she was just going to be over it, especially when I was in that line for 3 freaking hours.
Yeah. She was great.
Chris wouldn't have been there. It would have been Bad News Bears for me.
Yeah.
So.
No, it was good though. I wanted to get Kevin Smith's and Jason Mewes, but when I went to go get theirs, because their line wasn't totally huge at one point, it was very big. But then when I went to another time, they'd gone to do a panel and pictures and other stuff. And then I was telling B-Rob, next time I want to get Sean Gunn's because I forgot he was there. I did hear a lot of grumblings. Like I wanted to go get. I was thinking about Jodie Benson at one point too, voice of the Little Mermaid. But some people were really pissed about her and Peter Weller. I heard lots of grumblings about it because the day of the convention, they raised their autograph prices and picture prices, both of them, from what was posted. And so some people only brought a certain amount of money. And then these ATMs, what B-Rob told me was get money before you go. These little ATMs run out of money fast.
Mhm.
And so people were just pissed because some of them didn't bring enough money to get this. And like Peter Weller, let's face it, Peter Weller probably shouldn't have raised his prices because Peter Weller hasn't been relevant since RoboCop or Buckaroo Banzai, you
Mhm.
know, which some of the people listening to our show will have no clue what those two movies are. The Abyss. So there's a couple more that, especially if we're going to do the next one as a 2-day at least as a minimum, I would get in line for some more, but you just have to plan on getting in line and staying in line. And that's going to be the majority of your time if that's what you want, the autographs. But yeah, but I did want to get Dora's, also the lady who did Dora the Explorer, because I heard she's super nice. Her line was never busy, which made me feel a little sad. But everyone I talked to that got her autograph said she was just amazing. She's like, nah, don't worry about the money for the picture. Here, let's take a picture. And she just sit there talking to him.
Yeah.
See, that's
And-
cool.
Oh, the one celebrity I heard who's probably the best at all that too is what's Ashley's last name? Ahsoka.
Eckstein.
Yeah, Eckstein. Ashley Eckstein. She comes in early. She did not leave those nights from what the guys were telling me that I was standing in line, because you make friends standing in line. Some friends you don't want, but some you're gonna, you make friends just chit-chatting with them because you're there for so long. They said that she stayed the entire time. She would not leave the convention like Friday night until everyone who waited in line got an autograph, and she would sit there talking to them. And she made it feel like a personalized experience for what she charged, which I thought was amazing.
I also heard that she's really good at remembering people. I don't know how many things I read about how she would like. There was one I particularly remember, a girl who used to work at Disney World and had worked with her in some capacity. It's just like Ashley remembered her, and like she did a joint photo with Rosario and Ashley would like, tell Rosario all about this girl. I mean, it was really, and it's not like they were best friends or anything. It was just like limited interaction. It just sounded really, really sincere and really just kind of over the top and more than anybody really should do. But so yeah, I heard she was great. I heard Charlie Cox was really good.
That's what I heard too.
Tara Strong, I've heard it's pretty good.
I want to get hers next time, definitely.
And then I heard Rosario was really good. The only complaints I really heard were like Joseph Quinn's, like his handlers were really pushy and stuff like that was what I heard. And then John Bernthal's, I heard he wasn't really as interacting as maybe
he could have been.
I don't know why that doesn't surprise me, but
that everyone in the Star Wars lines also complained about James Arnold Taylor, Obi-Wan's voice from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
As soon as his time was up, he was out. It didn't matter how many people were online. They said he wasn't very personable. He took constant breaks, like right in the middle of signing. One guy told me he was in the middle of signing his and decided that he wanted to go make a phone call or something else. Just got up and left. Didn't tell anyone. Just got up and left for like 30 minutes. Which, if he's having some sort of like bathroom emergency, I don't blame him. But they said that was a constant thing with him.
Yeah. I'll tell you another person who, from my experience, it's awesome, and she wasn't here this time. But Ming Na Wen, she's like just like Ashley Eckstein. I mean, she stayed late. She got there early. She did whatever she needed to make sure that everybody got their autographs when we were in Denver last year.
That's awesome.
So you just hit on the prices a little bit. So the overall experience, like you said, you went in with an idea like, okay, I want to spend this much on autographs, this much to get in. The whole thing, did it end up? I mean, you were talking about the talent raising prices once, or some of them, not all of them, but some of them raising prices on autographs and pictures and things once you got there. Did it stay within what you thought you would spend? Did it end up being more expensive than you thought? And not because you ended up wanting to spend more, but things were more expensive than you thought they were or going to be? Like,
Yes,
the budget side of it.
it was a lot. It was a lot more expensive because this has been my first Comic-Con in years, and it was just some of the stuff that you would think would be cheaper, like especially when you're out like on the merch floor, on the show floor.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, maybe I can pick up some cool little stuff for the girls, just nice little trinkets, and I'm like, Jesus, this is way more expensive than I thought it was going to be.
That's how I felt at Brickfest. I was like, oh, I'll get a little something for a little guy. And like, oh my God, like the little packets of, I can't think of what it wasn't even like the minis. It was just like the little grab and go, like Lego packs were
Right.
$14, $15 or something. Like, it was crazy, the markup. Like, and I always kind of compare that to, I haven't been to a Comic-Con. I've been to a couple conventions of different things. And like, you always expect things to be a little bit more expensive, in festivals and things, like water's going to be higher, beer's going to be higher, food's going to be higher.
Mm-hmm.
You think, state fair markup is kind of how but it's even above and beyond that, and like, it's just, and people are going to spend it because, they're not going to charge it if people don't spend it, and they do.
Right.
Yeah, that would I think would be another thing that would be frustrating for me, because I think about budget a lot. That's just part of my, professional background too. And when you can't, that would be a turnoff for me. One, the price is going up day of. That feels extremely just shady to me. That, especially when, like you said, people coming in and you have a budget. I want to spend X amount on autographs.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's a bait and switch. That's what it is, really.
Right.
You're like, oh yeah, you can, come get the autograph, $75. Oh well, now it's $130.
100, yeah.
Yeah.
That, to me, that's taking advantage of people, because like, okay, well, they're here. If they really want to do it, they're gonna go ahead and do it now. And like, no, these are your fans that have come to see you for the most part, other than the resellers and the guys with their Red Rider wagon or whatever.
Yeah.
Or not Red Rider, but whatever. Radio Flyer. Is that what it is?
The radio flyer.
Yeah. Radio flyer.
Yeah.
No, just call it what you were going to call it, the Red Rocket.
Red Rocket wagon.
The guys
full
with the red
Funkos.
rockets walking
And so,
around.
That would be frustrating for me, and part of that, I feel like, I mean, you can't blame it on the location, because it's just a building, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's owned by probably the municipality or some whatever. That's on the event organizer. That I would think you would not allow that to happen. I would think that would have to go through the organizers. Like, hey, we've advertised, because that's on them. They advertise the cost for all these things on their website and all their social media and everything. Right. You want this is what we put out there, but now you're going to raise the price. That should not be allowed, period.
Yep.
At all.
Yeah, this is the first time that I can really remember this many, because there was a handful of people that did it. But I mean, the pricing was pretty much what I expected, because I've been to so many recently. But and my kids go for, like, when they go to the vendor floor, they're looking for Lego minifigures. They're looking for minifigs that they don't have, that are hard to find, and those are what I think they're like. You could get 5 for $20 or something.
Yeah, it was
like
5 for
that.
20.
So.
And he got the Gambit.
Yeah. So, and then Eva got all her horses. So.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Kyle. So there's this one vendor. T was looking at the little minifigures, and then the vendor asked Neva, B-Rob's daughter, like, what do you want? And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think she looked at him. She goes, how many horses are there? And he said 5. And she goes, right there. Like, didn't even hesitate. She knew what she like. She didn't look at anything else. She saw these, and I was just cracking up. I'm like, girl knows what she wants.
Right.
So all that, what you guys, I mean, B-Rob, like Chris, you went a long time ago. B-Rob, you frequented some of these before. What would, from this one, what would have made that experience, or what would make it better next year, and possibly worthy for a People's Choice Award in arts and culture?
Go ahead, B-Rob.
I think just being more organized and selling the tickets in time frames, because I really felt like that was a big problem. They just oversold tickets for people, because like the Hayden Christensen thing, you got a time to go over there on a time block, but then he would leave to go do a photo op, or was supposed to, but all their photo ops and panels got pushed and were late because of how long it was taking to do autographs. So I think just a better streamlined process for that, because I mean I pre-purchased my autograph because he sold out before the convention even started. Like if you didn't buy him online,
Yeah.
You weren't getting it. Same thing for Rosario. So I think that's the deal. Just a little bit better organization on the time frame to try and keep you on schedule. Because once one thing pushes, it pushes everything. Because especially for like Hayden, he had his autographs, he had his solo picks, he had his picks with Rosario, the team
His
up,
panels.
his panels. So I mean, a little of that gets pushed and it can ruin people's day. So that's probably my only thing.
Yeah. Like, I would say if you're going to have a big, huge event like this and you're going to have one, check your air in your facility.
Yeah.
That's a big one, because I think that also made people, when you're uncomfortable like that, that raises your people's tensions and their aggravation levels. So I would say that. I would say, yeah, don't oversell. I know that they wanted to get as many people through, but you got to realize, hire someone who's good at math that says, okay, we got this one celebrity who's scheduled to sign for this long. Here's how many tickets can realistically go through if they spend like 5 minutes with the person.
Mhm.
More chairs, just places to sit for people to put their feet up, because us old folk were going, God, my feet are killing me. And I know B-Rob's wife was like, I'm dying right now.
We do a lot of walking.
Right. It is.
So if
plan on multiple days, if you really want to get the full effect.
So say next year, would you go back if you knew that the setup, the organization, and the experience that you had, if that was going to be the same, would you go back to this particular con next year?
I would go if B-Rob and I had already talked about this, doing a 2-day, staying in a hotel that's right there, so you can go take a break, go cool off. And then getting the VIP pass, I think, is extremely important, because while us suckers are waiting in line for 3 hours, these VIPs may have to wait 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because they can go to the VIP line and skip everyone else. So knowing what we learned from this year, I would go back to give it another shot. And don't get me wrong, I really loved the experience. I got to go with my buddy. Got to go with his family. Got to see nerd culture. Got some autographs that I wanted. Some cool stuff, and it was a fun experience. Do I want to have the exact same experience next year? Hopefully not. Maybe a little bit better, but yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah. So where do you go ahead, B-Rob.
Yeah, no, I echo that. I think it would also depend on who's going to be there on the celebrities, because that's usually my big deal. Is I do like to listen to panels sometimes when we have time and meet different people. So I think it would depend on what the lineup looks like. But yeah, I would go back.
So,
go ahead.
what was just pulling out of it all here? What was your favorite? Some of your favorite moment or moments from the whole thing. Start with you, B. Rob.
I think one of the kids meeting Shamik Moore. I think that's a big one. I missed it, but just hearing my wife talk about it, they were very, very excited about that because they love the movies and they were hazing him for information about what the next sequel is going to do. And then their interaction with Danielle Panabaker. My daughter loves any powerful woman, powerful character. And the fact that our dog's named Killer Frost, Danielle seemed to enjoy that story.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just little things like that. And then just getting the, the memories with the kids. I think that's always the big thing. The pictures and just, we had fun.
I really enjoyed getting back down to the nitty gritty of going back to a Comic-Con. You know, after being isolated for 3 years with COVID, you know, not having COVID, but because of the pandemic, it was nice to get back to some sense of nerd normalcy. I enjoyed going, like I said, with my buddy and his family. That was just a fun. It was the experience for me. Getting the autographs was just a bonus. I wish they were less expensive. Hell yes, I could have gotten more, and you could have gotten more autographs. Yes, absolutely. But the experience for me, it was. That's what kind of made it for me. That's what made it special, and I enjoyed it.
Watching my daughter do virtual reality was
okay. Tell that story, because that's probably one of the best stories that we got out of this whole thing.
So there was a vendor booth that had virtual reality, and she put on the helmet, and you got to kind of pick what you were going to do. And the lady kept, okay, well, walk into the elevator. And, you know, she kept walking like into the wall, and there was like a big power strip back there. My daughter kept kicking it. And I was like, I think you need to tell her to go out of the elevator because she's going to like knock all this stuff down. And then she gets to a point,
you're flying. You have a rocket pack on you, like the Rocketeer.
And then next thing you know, like she's like belly flopping onto the ground, like diving.
She landed on the cliff and she looked down and it was a drop and she got scared. And then she stepped off when she got scared. And that's when she belly flopped. And we kept trying to pick her up. And I don't know if you remember this part, Rob, but another part is I'm sitting right next to his wife. And Neva is sitting there. She's shooting. And to shoot, you have to do this. It's kind of a punching motion. And then I hear Kat go, my boob. And Neva's sitting there punching her boobs. And she keeps going. And Kat is laughing so hard. And Neva's just keeps punching. And it was just the left boob, I believe. She just kept going like a punching bag. And Kat is laughing so hard she can't tell her that, hey, it's me. It's mom. Stop. Oh, it was great.
Yeah, that was a high point.
What do you guys have? What's the future con plans? Like possibly
hopefully
this for
you'll
next
go
year?
With one of us.
Well, yeah,
one of them.
It's in the works possibly.
So we were looking at what next year, maybe Dallas again or San Antonio, or was it?
Yeah, so the one in San Antonio, they had a crazy lineup this year that was announced. Like, what is that, in like 3 weeks to a month? I think, because Denver's next weekend.
Yeah.
And Denver's a lot of the same people that was in Dallas traditionally. But for San Antonio, the superhero Comic-Con and car show, Elizabeth Olsen, Brie Larson, Kit Harington, Emilia Clarke, Haley Steinfeld. I mean, it's the biggest lineup they've had, and so maybe, but that's where you have to draw the line though, because it's like you're trying to get a VIP pass to Denver or Dallas, then you've got to jump on that early. Mm-hmm. And the San Antonio one is a totally different. It's not Fan Expo like the other two are. So you want to wait and see what their lineup's going to be before you buy this. So you're just gonna. We've talked about a little bit of everything. I do think that San Antonio one would be cool.
Yeah.
So
And doable, but we'd probably have to fly to that one though, wouldn't we?
Depends on how long we want to go. I mean, it's 8 hours. It's 8-hour drive.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, you go down and go to Six Flags. I mean, it just depends on what we were wanting to do.
There's one going on right now in Oklahoma City, like yesterday and today.
I know the pro wrestlers one. I was going to go, and then my schedule filled up. I was having too much time doing
with
other
sushi
things.
and beer and golf.
Right. Didn't have to share my popcorn or my sushi with anyone. It was glorious. But yeah, so like Ron Simmons was there. Jerry Lawler was supposed to be there, but he had another
Hacksaw.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I think Sergeant
Luger.
Slaughter there. Lex Luger was there. The Godfather was there. D'Lo. Yeah, there's like 3 members of the Nation of Domination. Scott Steiner was there.
A
friend of mine has
peaks.
Some pictures with Hacksaw.
Yeah, Brian Tochi was there. A couple of the other Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So yeah, it was a decent one from what I've heard. So
ooh,
yeah,
I'm looking here. Let's see, is there anybody?
All 4 of the Turtles were there, and yeah, Brian Tochi from Revenge of the Nerds.
Their SoonerCon is coming up. And
great name, isn't that, B-Rob? That's a great name, SoonerCon.
This coming weekend.
Bunch of cheaters.
I'm looking at who's going to be there. Billy West is going to be there.
Yeah, that's the one I'm.
Yeah, that's right. That was right.
Yeah,
he's going to be in. There's one in Little Rock. I think that he's going to be at.
Oh, this is the one that's in Norman in this upcoming weekend. Or yeah, June. Let's see. I don't think we got anything else really coming up Oklahoma wise for.
Well, the
Wizard World was here a couple of times, and then the Tulsa Pop Kids used to do a decent one, but
Tokyo and Tulsa.
Yeah, I wanted to go to that. There's one in Enid. What?
That's historically in July. Tokyo and Tulsa.
There's not really a whole lot of info here. I saw the one.
Yeah, July 14th through the 16th is Tokyo and Tulsa.
That's not too far off then.
No. So, and that's
Kyle,
if you like anime.
Kyle, if you could name 3 celebrities that you would want to get an autograph or a picture with, who would they be? Me and Chris have had this conversation offline.
Oh, 3 celebrities. If I could get any, John DiMaggio would be one.
Yep.
Just big time. Probably my favorite voice actor. Who else? Man, put me on the spot and just think like, who would I just love to get one from? I don't think they would ever be at a convention, but I think it would be cool to get Arnold's. I'm thinking that just because he's getting on up there, you know, and just to get a Schwarzenegger autograph would be just really, really cool. So DiMaggio, Schwarzenegger, maybe like Hank Azaria. That'd be cool.
That'd be a cool one.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
this is where I'm kind of on the voice actor kick of it. And part of me is thinking like that might be easier to get than, and not always, but then your live action actors, because like certain ones, those lines are just going to be ridiculous. That's probably just put me on the spot. That's the first 3 that just popped into my head.
That's a good one.
Those are good ones.
Well, you got anything else, Kyle?
I don't. I mean, I wish I could have went with you guys. I could tell that I probably would have had a tough time. I'm not gonna lie, but it would have been a great experience. I would have had fun with you guys if I could have.
It was a good experience. All in all, it was a very good experience. So,
well, thanks for coming on, B-Rob.
Yeah, thanks for
thanks for
some of your time. B-Rob, is there anything you want to leave? Any tidbits of wisdom with about this experience for people thinking about going? especially people with kids. That's
Yeah,
that'd be a good one.
I think just push yourself out of your comfort zone to go make a memory. It may not be something because I understand where Kyle's from, and there's a lot of people. I mean, even throughout before the Comic Con, people on the fan page and stuff were talking about their anxiety and about going, and this is the first thing they've done in a while, or they don't do well in big crowds, but they want to do this. Get a support system, get some friends, go. You don't have to spend a lot of money. The tickets, the entry prices aren't horrible just for GA. But go and make some experiences, see some things that you wouldn't normally see. See the cosplay, make the memories if you take your kids, and just enjoy it, man. Because there's just so many things that we miss out on in life because of what you think it's going to be or how you think you're going to react. But if you have people with you, then it makes it a little bit easier. And again, you don't get a chance to make these memories every day, so do it.
There you go.
I agree.
I'm looking through the con list right now, still just seeing what all is coming up close to us. There's so many things.
Yeah, there's a lot. So,
yeah, man, thanks for coming on, though. I appreciate it. It's good to talk to you and catch back up a little bit again.
Yes.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys having me on.
So have a good. We won't be seeing B-Rob for the next week. He's going on vacation here.
Mm-hmm.
So have a good time away from here, away from the kids, and most importantly. So with that, this has been Every Man's Guide to Nerddom. I'm Chris.
And Kyle, wherever you guys are, please have a good evening, nighttime, whatever time it is, wherever you are, and please be good to each other.
See ya.
Nerdcore could rise up. It could get elevated. Nerdcore could rise up. It could get elevated. Nerdcore used to be just a made-up word. MCs shied away.